Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at OKLO. It is time for another update, and it seems we have gotten quite close here to the area of support within this correction, which we have been prepared for. We have been looking for this exact area of support ever since breaking here below the $109-$108 level, which was our area of support for direct continuation here in an even possible impulse to the upside, which has failed. Now, with that said, I want to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new before getting into the small time frame details. And here we are basically tracking a larger leading diagonal to be forming. We have here a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, and now we are looking for a third wave to be forming to the upside. Since we have the wave 1 and 2 complete, we can even look here for an ideal target for the wave 3, which is around the 138.2% extension of the wave 1 around the $487 level, around that area anyway. I might have not drawn this perfectly, but it is very close to those levels anyway. Now, we have been tracking this idea of a diagonal pattern even before failing to hold here the area of support, but ever since we have failed, the idea of an impulse forming this area has become very unlikely. I can't stress this enough. It is a very tiny chance that this could actually still work out as an impulse, but it doesn't mean that we cannot continue this uptrend. In fact, now that we have the A wave complete and possibly even the wave B bottom, assuming that we have bottomed here in the wave B, we can even look for an ideal target for the wave C, which is the 100% extension of the wave A around the $860 level. Now again, in the wave C we don't need to get there and we also don't need to stop there, but it is far beyond even the ideal target for the overall wave 3. So if we were to already bottom here in this wave B, I wouldn't necessarily have doubts about getting and building this overall structure in the wave 3 before starting the larger wave 4 correction. However, even though we have gotten quite close here to the area of support, we haven't quite reached it yet. I could consider it is fine. It isn't necessarily the biggest problem in the world to have not touched it perfectly, and in fact within this pattern to the downside we even have a full structure. Now we have been also tracking this trend line, which seems to have failed, and a break here below the trend line is actually a good signal that this correction has been unfolding as expected, and we have been struggling a bit to get back above it. We had here a couple, actually 3 touch points before we managed to finally break through. Although I will keep it on the chart for now. I want to see if we get some retests within this area or not. But what I want to focus on here is the Elliott wave counts, the structures that we were tracking, and in the previous video we were even considering a full count possible. I wasn't necessarily focusing on direct continuation lower, even though clearly we have gotten it. We just need to consider here a possible extension within this correction, where honestly within this ABC structure we have more than sufficient waves to consider this pattern complete. We don't need any additional lows to form within this area, but with especially the case that we haven't gotten to the area of support, we have gotten close to it but not quite. We were a couple of dollars away. I am very prepared for still extensions lower here within the green interpretation, where so far we have a resistance area between the $111 level all the way up to the $160 level. We also have quite some significant structural resistance along the way. So far nothing too major has appeared just yet, but we have pushed into the 38.2% retracement, and today we have gotten our rejection. And so far we haven't necessarily broken very small time frame areas of support, and we can still track continuation higher, but it is a very fragile structure. And I have to say, even if we push here and form this entire pattern in a 5-wave move, there would be nothing really stopping me from considering this an overall larger ABC structure to have completed this larger wave B in green. Now if we look, as I was mentioning, at some structural resistance levels, we also see here around the 50% retracement line, and we also have some structural resistance in this area, but probably the most significant ones are here around the 142 up to the $152 level. This is probably the most significant area for structural resistance up until the top basically. But Yeah, keep in mind also the Fibonacci is very relevant, as we can see here, where we have gotten our first rejection after this more significant uptrend that has formed here in the very small time frame. And if I were to be looking for continuation higher within this pattern, well, I would expect at least within this structure to form here, if we are this as a third, fourth, and the fifth, within a possible larger pattern unfolding within the larger wave C, yeah, a possible initial wave 1 to the upside, I would expect to form here another wave up within this third wave to the upside. If we look for the ideal target for this internal wave 3, I would be looking at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1, which hasn't been reached yet. Yeah, we have pushed into the 123.6% extension, but we haven't reached the ideal target just yet. And we do still have room for another high, and that would likely get us to those levels, but we need for that to absolutely hold here this area of support all the way down to the 50% retracement. We seem to have already touched or wicked below it a couple of times already, so it should have already bottomed, and if we are to form another low within this area, well, I honestly wouldn't have any high hopes for this overall structure to build a reliable 5-wave pattern to the upside. And in the best case scenario, yeah, we would be looking here at a possible extension, who knows, something like a larger wave A, a B wave down, and then a C wave to the upside still, but it would actually heavily lead on to the idea of this green interpretation, where we should be watching out for this C wave to unfold to the downside. Now, we have already gotten to the area of resistance, and we might already have a top within this correction, so we could technically even look for an ideal target for the wave C if it really is to unfold, although at this point I probably find it more likely that we are going to build a larger structure in this correction. But yeah, if we want to look for an ideal target, it would be the 100% extension of the wave A around the $46.7 level. But again, we don't need to get there, and we don't need to stop there, so we will need to track the internal structure of the wave C, which is expected to build a 5-wave move to the downside if it really is to be a wave C. Now again, going along with the broader market sentiment, even if this doesn't build the wave C to the upside in white, I wouldn't be surprised to see a larger correction here in the wave B. Yeah, across the markets, we expect still this uptrend to last a while, and who knows, yeah, even this chart may take a part of it, forming new all-time highs. Although I don't have any high reliability pattern at this point, maybe if we finish this initial 5-wave move to the upside, we can look for a possible larger 1-2 setup that could be interesting. But right now, I would be still quite cautious, and until we get our initial 5-wave move to the upside, I wouldn't necessarily focus or look for positions or entries. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.